My dear students, here I will discuss in this video about the shell structure. It is in Mumbai University, Bachelor of Architecture, semester 9, and the subject name is Theory of Structure 8. In first few minutes I will discuss about the different shell terminologies. Then I will take up two numericals or two design problem regarding the shell structure. So let us start. Shell terminology which is given as per the IS code 2210. What is the shell? The basic definition of shell. It is a curved surface having small thickness compared to the radius. So shell is a structure and it is a curve which is having a curved surface having small thickness compared to the radius of the structure. Next is the span of the shell. The distance between the two adjacent end frames or the traverses is termed as the span of the shell. You can see the diagram also over here. I have shown you the span of the shell. Next is chord width. Chord width is the horizontal projection of the arc of the shell. Then what is rise? Rise is the vertical distance between the apex of the curve and the springing. Next is end frames or traverses. What are these? So these frames are provided at the ends to support and to preserve the geometry of the shell. The next definition is edge member or beam. Edge beam or edge member. The horizontal beam supported on the columns and supporting the longitudinal edges of the shell. Here you note down the diagram also, and along with it sometimes what happens, we know that the certain terminologies, but if we ask you that you please define it in case of in your interview or in the exam or in the evaluation or in the viva voce, then you just find or search for words that how to define it. So here are the basic definition given by the IS 2210. So you just read it twice or thrice. You will be remembering that how to phrase the definition when anyone asks about the definition of the different terminology. Now let us discuss about the advantages of the shell structure. Shells are preferable because they can be used to cover large floor space, and it is economical also to use from the materials of construction. Second advantage is it needs 25 to 40% less material than that if you going to make it with a plain element. So with respect to the plain elements, it requires less material, 25 to 40%. Number 3 advantage is structurally the shell roofs are superior since the whole cross section is uniformly stressed due to the direct forces with negligible bending effect. And number 4 is that due to this aspect, that is it is having a negligible bending effect, the thickness of shell is kept very small in the range of 75 millimeter to 150 millimeter. Generally while designing we take it as the 100 millimeter thickness. Let us have a look at the uses. It can be used for hangars, sports auditorium, exhibition halls, industrial building and variety of other large span structure. Especially it is used when we need some uninterrupted floor space. And recent advances include the construction of the shell structure using prefabricated shell elements. So nowadays the shell elements are prefabricated and then they are directly used for the construction. Now let us come to the classification of the shells. Classification of shells based on the thickness. So there can be thick shell and thin shell. Thick shell is that where the ratio of the radius and the thickness is less than 20. Radius by the thickness is less than 20. And thin shell is that the ratio of the radius to thickness of the shell greater than 20, then it is a thin shell. Now thin cylindrical shells are generally classified into two groups, long shells and short shells. Long shell is where the radius to span ratio is less than 0.6, that is radius to span less than 0.6. Short shell, radius by span exceeds or more than 0.6. Shells are also classified into two major groups as single carved shell, double carved shell. Single carved shells means where the shells are developable. That means that it can be developed. For example, the conical and the cylindrical shells. That means in case of a conical shell, it can be developed to a right angle triangle and a base is the circle. Similarly, a cylindrical shell can be developed further in a rectangle as well as with a base as the circle. So these are the single carved shell which are developable. Okay, their surface can be developed further. Doubly carved shells means which are non-developable. Common examples are circular domes, paraboloid, ellipsoid, hyperbolic paraboloid and elliptic paraboloid. These shells actually they are further grouped under three categories. Number 1, shells of revolution. Number 2, shells of translation. And number 3, ruled surfaces. So now let us have a look at their details. That is, what is shells of revolution? Shells of revolution are obtained when a plane curve is rotated about the axis of the symmetry. So here I have shown you three examples. One is a circular dome, another is the conical dome, and another is the paraboloid. So these are the shells of revolution. Next is the shells of translation. So these are obtained when one curve moves parallel to itself another curve. So in this process, the plane of the two curves, they are being at the right angle, 90 degree to each other. So if you see their movement, you can see over here that is one plane is or one curve is parallel to the other curve. So the examples are elliptical paraboloid and hyperbolic paraboloid. So these are the shells of translation. Next comes the ruled surface. As I have told you, three categories, na? Shells of revolution, shells of translation, and next is the ruled surface. Now any surface or this surface they are generated by straight line. Ruled means straight line, correct? So these ruled surface are generated by the straight line. At every point a single straight line can be ruled. The surface generated is termed as the single ruled surface. Common example of the single ruled surfaces are cylindrical shell and the conical shell. Now let us have a look at the cylindrical shell. This is also the basic diagram I have explained you also earlier. So cylindrical shell means these are the shells in which the directrix means the stationary curve. So the directrix is a straight line. So for cylindrical shell, the common curve used are the arc of a circle, semi-ellipse, parabola or catenary. The various structural components of a cylindrical shell are thin shell, edge beam and the end frame. This I have discussed earlier also. Next is the multiple cylindrical shells. So here a series of parallel cylindrical shells are there. They are transversely continuous, not the longitudinal, but the transversely they are continuous. So they are used generally for the hangar, warehouse and the factory buildings. So another example is the north light shells. So they consist of a cylindrical shell and there are two springing at the different levels and they are built in single or multiple bays and have provisions for north light glazing. North light shells are commonly used for the factory shed roofs. Another example you can see over here as the butterfly shell. So it is formed when two parts of the cylindrical shell are joined together at their lower edges. So this type of shell is commonly used for railway platform and the bus shelter. So now let us have a look at the general guidelines which we have to follow for selecting the dimension of the various structural component of the shell. Number 1, remember, overall thickness of a RC shell should not be less than 50 mm for the single curve shell, 40 mm for the double curve shell and 25 mm for the precast shells. Generally the thickness is in the range of the 80 mm to 120 mm for most of the shells based on the practical requirement. The second point is the span of the shell should not be greater than 30 meter to limit the size and the reinforcement. Okay, within the from keeping in view of the practical implications or practical considerations of the designing the edge beam. The third point is the width of the edge member. It is limited to 2 to 3 times the thickness of the shell. That means width of the edge member should be maximum, should not be more than 2 to 3 times the thickness of the shell. Now in shell with chord width much larger than the span, the chord width shall be preferably be 3 to 6 times the span. Number 4. For large span shells, the depth should be between 1/6 to 1/12 of the span. Larger figures are applicable to smaller span. Now for shells without edge member, depth for the shells with chord width much larger by then. The semi-central angle should be in the range of 30 to 45 degrees. If the angle is less than 45 degree, the effect of the wind load may be ignored. For larger angle with steep slopes, back forms may be necessary for casting. The diameter of the reinforcement should not exceed 10 mm for 50 mm thick shells and 12 mm for 65 mm thick shells, and 16 mm for shells having thickness greater than 65 mm. So these are all the requirements. You should keep it in mind. And the spacing of the bar should not be more than the 5 times the thickness of the shell. So these are all the design consideration given as per the IS code of the concrete structure. So minimum clear cover must be 12 mm or the nominal size of the reinforcement bar. Generally, a minimum 0.15% of the gross cross section in the principal direction is recommended for thin shell structure. So here completes the theory, and next we will discuss about the analysis of the shell, and after that we will start with the solving with the problems. Analysis of shell is based can be based on the membrane theory. So here are the few assumptions which are there for the membrane theory. Number 1, the shell is regarded as perfectly flexible membrane of infinite extent. This is the first assumption. The second assumption is the shell carries direct forces in its plane only. Number 3, span to radius ratio must be less than 0.5. So in this diagram you please note it down very carefully. So what are the directrix, generators, edge beam, chord width, traverse, span, everything I have shown it over here. Now if we take one shell element from here and if we analyze it further, as you can see it from the diagram, so here Tx, Ty, they are the membrane forces. They are the membrane forces along XY axis. Please see, I have specified the XYZ axis because this is a 3-dimensional structure, correct? So XYZ, please see at the right hand side of the page, I have shown it as the XYZ. So along x-axis the membrane force is Tx, shown in the red color. Along y-axis the membrane force is Ty. I have shown it over here. I have shown also the semicentral angle, that is the phi, and d phi I have taken it as an element of the central angle, and capital R, that is the radius, of the shell structure. Let us now note down the table. So what is Tx and Ty I have explained. Now there can be two types of load. One is the snow load and the second one is the due to the self weight of the shell structure. So membrane forces, as I have shown you earlier, Tx and Ty. So in case of snow load, the Tx value is given as 3W by 2R within bracket L square minus x square cos square phi minus sin square phi, and Ty will be minus WR cos square phi. Okay. And for self weight it is minus G by R within bracket L square minus x square into cos phi, and Ty is equal to minus GR cos phi. So phi is the semi-central angle over here, W is the load acting, that is the snow load acting, L, as you know 2L is the span, so from there we can find out the value of L. r is the radius of the shell, and remember over here small g is not acceleration due to gravity, jo 9.81 we take now, so that is not g over here. Here g is the self weight of the structure, that is gamma into t. What is gamma? Gamma is the unit weight of concrete. The value is around 24 to 25 kilonewton per meter cube, and t is the thickness. So if we multiply gamma into t, we will get the value of the self weight, that is g. Okay, so first we will solve the problem by putting the value of w and r. We will w, r and l, x and phi value we will not put, we will find out the generalized expression. After that the question will be like that way, find out the maximum stress developed. So in case of a shell structure, the maximum stress generated is at the crown. So at the crown the semicentral value is 0 obviously, and x value, that is the x coordinate, is also 0. So after that you find out you put the value of x equal to 0 and phi equal to 0. Find out the value of tx and ty by putting these two value, and out of that whichever is the maximum, that will be the value of the T max. So sigma maximum stress is the sigma max equal to T max divided by 1 into T. What is T? T is the thickness of the shell. What is 1? 1 means the per unit meter length of the shell. So this is one part. Sometimes we have to find out the maximum bending moment developed in the shell. So maximum bending moment developed at the edge. Edge means there the semicentral angle will be phi. So by putting the value of phi, you find out the value of Ty, membrane forces along the y-axis, and then the maximum bending moment is equal to Ty into 2L square by 8. So let us take two examples, and this will be clear by solving the example. Let us have a look at the question. A RC shell of circular directrix has parameters: semicentral angle 60 degree, which is denoted as phi, span 2L, that is equal to 24 meter, hence L equal to 12 meter, radius R equal to 6 meter, thickness T equal to 50 millimeter, snow load W equal to 1 kilonewton per meter square per meter length of curved surface of the shell. Find maximum stresses and maximum bending moment in edge beams. So the first part is we have to find out the maximum stress. So to find out the maximum stress, let us find out the first membrane forces. As I have explained you earlier, that membrane forces are given by Tx and Ty, as I have explained you earlier. So in this question the snow load is given. So whenever snow load is acting, Tx is given as 3W bracket L square minus x square bracket close, within bracket again cos square phi minus sin square phi, and whole divided by 2r, and with a negative sign. So in this equation, if you put the respective value, so r radius of the shell is given as 6 meter in the question, put the value of 2r, that is I am talking about the denominator. So 2 into 6. Now let us look at the numerator. 3 into W. W means what? Snow load. Snow load is how much? 1 kilonewton per meter square, per meter length, that is given in the question. Then what is L? See, span is equal to 2L, that is equal to 24. So L is equal to 12. So 12 square minus x square. Okay. Then within bracket cos square phi minus sin square phi. So keep this expression like this way. So if you simplify, we keep x and phi as it is. We are not doing anything with that. Keep it like this way. So the final expression we get it as 36 minus 0.25 x square within bracket, and again cos square phi minus sin square phi within bracket. Now for Ty, membrane force along the y-axis is given as minus WR cos square phi. W is 1, R is 6, so minus 6 cos square phi. Now maximum compressive stress occurs at the crown. Okay, so sigma max we have to find at crown means they are x equal to 0 and also phi equal to 0. Correct, phi is the semicentral angle, so at crown that is equal to 0 and x is equal to 0. So if you put the value of x equal to 0 and phi equal to 0 in the previous expression as we have got, we get the value of Tx as minus 36 kilonewton per meter and Ty equal to minus 6 kilonewton per meter. So Tx and Ty we have got. Now we have to find the maximum value of the stress. Now out of these two, which is maximum? Maximum value is 36. Okay, so sigma max equal to T max divided by 1 into T, or the per unit meter length, so L into T, so L value is 1 per meter length, not L does not mean over here the span but per unit meter length. So T max is equal to minus 36 kilonewton per meter, so you put the value in Newton, so minus 36 into 10 cube Newton. Acha, per meter length means 1 meter equal to 1000, and what is the value of the thickness? Thickness of the shell was given as 50 millimeter, so put it as 50. Now this 1000 and 50 both we have put it in millimeter, and 36 is in Newton, 36 into 10 cube Newton. So what will be the unit? Unit will be Newton per millimeter square, and the value is coming as minus 0.72 Newton per millimeter square. Now at edges, at the edge of the shell, the phi value will be the value of the semicentral angle, that is 60 degree. Okay, so we have got the expression of Ty. Ty we have got it as minus 6 cos square phi in our previous slide. Na? So now you put the value of phi equal to 60 degree. So Ty value you get it as minus 1.5 kilonewton per meter. So the second question was that find the maximum bending moment in the edge beam. So bending moment in the edge beam will be Ty into 2L square by 8. From where it comes? Because it is the uniformly distributed load. So WL square by 8. W means over here what is the value of W? That is the value is the Ty, that is the membrane force along the y axis. Ty multiplied by the span. Span is denoted here as 2L, that is the span. So 2L whole square divided by 8. So and what does where does this maximum bending moment occurs? It occurs at the center of the span. So Ty value we have got it as minus 1.5 and 2L is given as 24. So 24 square by 8. So we are getting the value of the maximum bending moment as minus 108 kilonewton meter. Let us have a look at the question. A RC shell with circular directrix has following parameters: radius r equal to 6 meter, span 2L equal to 24 meter, thickness T equal to 50 millimeter, semicentral angle phi equal to 60 degree. Find the maximum stress. Number 2, maximum bending moment developed in edge beam under self weight. And self weight is given as G equal to gamma into T, where gamma is the unit weight of concrete. The value is 25 kilonewton per meter cube. So we get the value of self weight as 25 into 0.05, that is the thickness of the shell, 1.25 kilonewton per meter square. So these are the given data, and from the span which is denoted as 2L we get the value of L equal to 12 meter and thickness 50 millimeter, that means it is 0.05 meter. In the last problem we have solved it for the if the snow load is acting on the curved surface of shell, how to find out the membrane force, how to find out the maximum stress, maximum bending moment, all this we have solved. Now similarly this problem we will solve for the shell structure where snow load is not acting but there is only self weight. So due to the self weight of the shell, what will be the maximum stress and what will be the maximum bending moment. So self weight, how to find out, I have already discussed. Now for the membrane forces under self weight, so Tx is minus G L square minus x square bracket close, then cos phi divided by r. Now g value is not acceleration due to gravity, that is 9.81. It is not like that. G is what? As I have explained, g is the self weight. And what was the value of the self weight? 1.25 kilonewton per meter square. So g value you put it as 1.25. What is r? R is the radius. Radius is given as 6. Then within bracket L. See, 2L is the span. That is given as 24 meter. So what will be L? L will be 12. So 12 square minus x square, bracket close, cos phi. As I have shown you earlier also, first you find out the generalized equation and keep the equation like that way. After that, according to our need, we will put some specified value and get the answer. So the membrane forces Tx is given as, finally we get the value as 30 minus 0.208 x square, bracket close, into cos phi. Now membrane forces along y direction, that is Ty is given as minus gr cos phi. G value is minus 1.2, only 1.25, r is equal to 6. So this gives us 7.5 cos phi. Okay. Now let us come to the question that we have to find the maximum stress. So maximum compressive stress will be developed at the crown and at the center of the span. So at crown, the value of semicentral angle phi is equal to 0 and also the x coordinate is 0. So if you put this value x equal to 0 and phi equal to 0, you get the value to, from Tx you are getting that minus 30 cos 0, that is minus 30 kilonewton per meter. So sigma max will be Tx by 1 into T. So Tx is minus 30 into 10 cube divided by 1000 into 50 because the shell thickness is given as 50. So this gives us minus 0.6 Newton per mm square. Now next part was forces acting on the, we have to find out the maximum bending moment. So first we have to find out the forces acting at the edge beam. So Ty will be minus 7.5 cos phi. Now at the edge beam, the value of phi is equal to 60 degree. That is the semicentral angle. When you reach at the edge of the beam, at that point the semicentral angle becomes the, phi becomes the semicentral angle, that is the 60 degree. So 7.5 into cos 60, phi is equal to 60 degrees. So that gives us 3.75 kilonewton per meter. So maximum bending moment at center of the span of the edge beam of length 2L is equal to 24 meter. So what will be the value of the maximum bending moment? M is equal to Ty into 2L square by 8. As I have explained you earlier also, that it is the WL square by 8 maximum value of the bending moment. W means here the Ty value, correct? So if you put the value, we get the value of the maximum bending moment as 270 kilonewton meter. Now, if we extend this problem a little bit, one step further, suppose we have to find out the membrane forces at phi equal to 30 degree and x equal to 6 meter. So, how we can find it? If you go back to the general expression, we have got the expression of Tx as within bracket minus 30 within bracket 30 minus 0.208 x square cos phi, correct? So from there you put the value of x equal to 6 and phi equal to 30. So that gives the value of membrane forces as Tx equal to 19.5 and Ty we have got as 7.5 cos phi. So now put the value of phi as 30 degree. So this gives the value as 6.5 kilonewton per meter. So the problem can be solved like this way.